to the Knitting by the Sea podcast. My name is Lisa. I am Saratoga Knitting on Instagram and Ravelry, and I welcome you to my home. I live about 20 miles north of Boston in the old town of Marblehead, and I'm very lucky to live in a very old house here right now by the harbor. Our house was built in 1750 as a warehouse and then was transitioned into a residence in 1801. So today we are going to do a few things. I haven't been here in a while, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But I do have a lot of finished objects to show you. I certainly have some works in progress, and I have a little bit of spinning to show you, and then we'll have some chatter at the end. And this is actually podcast episode 100, so I don't have anything too special planned, but I have had some questions from some viewers about the house that we live in and whether they would be interested in having a little bit of a house tour. Well, I have available to me a very old article from a magazine, and it has lots of pictures of when the house was transitioned into what it is now in the 1950s. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that and show you the pictures from that in a little bit. And I won't show you the living spaces as we have them now. We'll talk a little bit about that because it's it's our family home. But you'll get a good idea of what the house is when I get to that section. So let's get started. Finished objects. As I said at the beginning, it's been a while since I've been here, and I have a whole pile of things to show you, most of which you've already seen in progress, but I thought I'd show you the finished objects themselves. The first on my list is the Satellite Cowl, and this is by Emma Barnaby of Tiny Desk Knitting. And this is that beautiful inside-out cowl. It's so thick, it's double-sided. So you knit this all in a tube all the way up, and then you invert the inside of it. And what I ended up doing was just doing a 3-needle bind off at the bottom, and that worked out perfectly fine. And actually it'll be nice because that will always tell me that's the piece that's going to go down by my neck. But the really nice thing about this is that because it's a double thickness, it will be super warm in the winter, and it actually kind of stands up when you put it on as well, so you can pull it up around your mouth and your nose without really any difficulty at all. And it's much too warm to wear now, but I really think that this is one of the most beautiful things that I have ever knit. I'm so happy that I did this, and I use the background is just some gray Jamieson and Smith. I think I have from a cone from the Woolly Thistle, and then the color is just one skein of yarn, but it is a variegated skein of yarn, so it transitions, and I didn't have to do anything to change any of these colors. So through the entire cowl, I was using 2 colors, which is what you do if you're doing Fair Isle knitting. But I didn't have to change any balls of color or anything because I just was using the one ball of color that changed, and I just love it. And the inside came out just as beautifully, and you can see it in here, how just using that variegated skein of yarn just made it so much easier. I wasn't flapping around with lots of different balls of color in order to do this gorgeous piece. And I'm so happy with the way it turned out. And I'll wait a bit, but in some ways I can't wait till it gets cold enough to wear this again. I'm really happy. This is a free pattern on Ravelry as well if you're interested in doing something not difficult if you've done color work before. And it just is such a beautiful piece. I'm sure that when I wear this next year, they'll be like, you didn't make that yourself. And I'll be, yes, I did. So I'm super happy with this. This is the Satellite Cowl by Emma Barnaby. Next on my list, I really enjoyed this one as well. This is a pattern called Arthur, and it's by Lisa Chenery. She also has a podcast. She's Frogginette Knits. And I'll link these things in the description box below. But she designs knits for children mostly. She has a few adult patterns, but most of her patterns are for babies and for for toddlers into children, which is really kind of cool. And you know that Sophia's friend had a baby last year, and so he's a little guy that I made a blanket for, and I am going to be kind of making things as we go along here. This girl's mom was a friend of ours. She was a knitter and a spinner, and unfortunately she died I think probably 2 years ago now. And so I'm just going to kind of make sure that I make lots of little knits for for this little guy as he grows up. So he will not miss out on having the hand knit items. Of course, I'm using acrylic because I don't want her to worry about having to baby no, not worry about babying these hand knits. They can go right into the wash. The Arthur I decided to knit in a 12-month old size because I figure that by the time he's around that age, it'll be getting cool again. So this will be really nice. And it's just this super cute. Isn't this adorable? Fair Isle little vest. It is so cute. I was so happy with this. Let's get the front and the back, and it came out great. And this is acrylic, so she can throw this right into the washing machine without a problem. And what I obviously haven't given this to her yet, but what I will do is that I'm going to when I send this to her, I'm going to purchase a cute little blue button-down shirt and include that with it, with this to go along with it. I think this will be absolutely adorable. They live in Virginia, so they don't really need a lot of heavy sweaters, but I think this will be super cute, and I can't wait to see this little guy wearing this. It was really, I haven't had little ones to knit for, really, until this little guy came along, so it's actually kind of fun. These go so fast. I was like amazed. I'm like, oh, wait, I'm almost done with this little piece, but it was just so easy to do and so cute. Look forward to seeing some more baby knits in the baby and toddler knits in the future as I go along. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. Again, this is the Arthur, and it's just a little pullover from Frogginette. Okay, perfect. Let's see. The next piece that I finished. Oh yeah, this is right. This is beautiful as well. This is huge. It's called the Satellite Cowl, and it's by Meg Gatsby. It's been crinkled up a little bit. I haven't actually blocked this yet, but this is a beautiful cowl. And it's really simple design. Lots of it stuck in it, and then there's these little bits of texture in between, and it's beautiful. This will again be a great piece for next winter. It's really soft. I used let me tell you what I used. I combined two yarns from this. I used let's see. I used Foster Sheep Farm, and it's the main color is a blend of Romney, Wensleydale, and Corriedale fingering weight yarn, and it's dyed. I think this was dyed. I think she dyed this herself with the plant dye. So it's really beautiful. It's just this beautiful color, kind of gray and blue. And then I paired that because it's one of those ones that are designed to be paired with mohair. So I also paired this with some dragonfly fibers, and this is fairy, and it's called Silver Fox. And so they just went really well together. Now I will admit, and I know that knitting with mohair is a thing. Lots of people do it. People do entire sweaters with it. I'm not sure if I will do it again. I certainly wouldn't do it with a sweater, only because I found it to be super annoying. Am I allowed to say that? It was just, the mohair is so fuzzy, and it's a lace weight mohair, which was fine, but I tended to find myself not catching both strands of yarn, and I had to pay attention to that more. And there were places where I had to rip back because I had missed adding the lace weight in with it, or I just because what I tend to not look at my knitting if I'm doing something simple, and when you're holding two strands of yarn together that are slippery, it wasn't the best choice for me. I'm super happy I did it. It's going to be beautiful, but I don't think I'm going to climb on the mohair train anytime soon again, but I'm really happy I did. I love Meg as a designer. She designs mostly things like this. So she designs accessories. So she designs lots of cowls and lots of shawls, and I've knit several of her shawls before. Really well written, and I highly recommend it. And again, I'll put the link in the bottom here. So that is finished now. I think the next one, I think I have mentioned to you that we don't really exchange Christmas gifts in the family. The three of us do, but with Mark's parents and his brothers, we used to, but then it got to be too much, and his mother would go too crazy, and so we kind of put the halt to that, and we just get together well, when we can. I've been very successful in the last 2 years, but when we get together, we just, we'll come together for dinner and just have nice dinner and drinks, and we'll provide some nice wines and cook a really nice meal. So we're not so much into exchanging gifts. However, I usually will knit something for for them. So, and usually in the past, it's been hats or scarves, which is fine. They've been very, very excited to have them. And they're all very knitworthy people, but this year I thought I would do something different. So what I decided to do is knit a hot water bottle for everyone. So for my sister-in-law and my brother-in-law, and for my for my in-laws, and I'm also going to do one for myself, for Mark, and for Sophia as well. So that's really fun. I have from the Arthur sweater that used so little yarn, I have all of those colors left, and they're acrylic, so these can go right into the wash without a problem. And then I am just picking. I'm using a background color, and then I'm picking some Fair Isle motifs from a book, and that's really fun because I get to try out little different motifs and see how the colors come together. And again, they're really quick because they're a small one. This is a free pattern on Ravelry by Emily Boldman, and it's just called the Hot Water Bottle Cover, and it's really great. And so I got a couple of the hot water bottles just to make sure I was doing everything correctly and that the sizing fits. But this is great. So this is the first one that I knit. So just some brown and some yellow, and go around. And this fits perfectly. It has this, a little roll down collar. And again, you throw this in the wash, and it doesn't matter if it gets wet. There's nothing precious about this yarn or about this piece, but this will be really fun. So that's number one that I have completed. And then number two is this one, this blue and white one that I did. And this is really fun as well. So you can see, you can do whatever you want. I ran out of the blue yarn, so I ended up using the gray to do the top. But hey, who cares? This is, this is what's great about this. I can just kind of play around and decide what I want to do for the colors. So this is number two. Number three, I just finished. I really like this one. I think the colors really pop on this one. And so this is a gray with that really neon-y yellow color on it. And again, size 2. This is what it looks like without the without the hot water bottle in it. But really super simple. These, I'll start one. My goal is to have them all done, so I'm trying to do one a month. But it takes about, in just like nighttime knitting, I'll probably take, I'll start one and it'll be done in 2 weeks, and then I'll move on to the next, move on to the next one. So I still have several to do, but it's just really satisfying. It's for two reasons, for a couple of reasons. I'm using up yarn. Obviously, I'm using up my stash yarn that's left over. I am doing something really fun because I'm choosing the patterns each time, and trying something new each time, so a new little Fair Isle pattern. And then I'm also, I'm also doing all the Christmas gifts, so that's really good. I'm getting all these things out of the way. I won't be stressing when it gets closer to Christmas. So these are super fun, super easy to do, not heavy. I'm not knitting something really big. So really, yeah. So this is fun. So this is the hot water bottle. Cover by Emily Boldman, but there's lots of them on Ravelry. There's lots of different ones that you can find, but this is just a really basic one, and it's just basically gives you the shape and how to where to do the decreases. There's no patterning in it, so that's why I liked it, because then I could just choose my own patterning. So I'm really happy with this, and think this is a great idea, and I think people will be surprised. And actually, every time they use it this winter, they're going to be like, oh, I'm so glad Lisa made this for me. I'm going to be glad when I climb into bed and it's super cold and we've got 2 of them down at the bottom of the bed. So this will be these are really fun. What else? Oh, yes. I think my next pieces are socks. I do them. I am commuting back into Boston 2 days a week. So I do, I've been driving, because I'm only doing 2 days a week. I've been driving to the T, which is a couple of towns over, and just parking there rather than taking the bus from Marblehead down. Just because it's I'm only doing it two days, so I'm not spending that much money on it. And also Sophia sometimes comes on the same days, so that's nice to have some company. And then we're there, and we're not we're not getting exposed to COVID in the bus. So, but anyway, so when I am on the bus, however, I usually will be knitting socks, and then at lunchtime I usually pick up a pair of socks. So that's usually my daytime knitting are socks. And Carrie of the My Wool Mitten podcast, who she has a lovely little farm, and she raises some sheep, and she has some horses as well. But she started this year a let's spin yarn for socks, and I thought that was a really great idea. And she suggested that you kind of experiment a little and take some fiber that you wouldn't put together, or some colors that you wouldn't put together. Just experiment and have some fun. And so that's what I did. I had some of this beautiful green merino. And I decided, I had spun some of that up, and I decided to spin more of it up. And then I had this lovely gray, I believe it's Corriedale, roving that I also had separately. And I did a couple of things. I had spun up samples of both of them. And what I did was I took each of them, and then I just knit up a swatch together with the two strands, and I didn't really like the way that looked, and so what I ended up actually, did I do that, or did I do it the other way? No, I'm sorry, I'm saying the wrong thing. I did it the other way. I tried to spin them together to see how that would work, but it didn't work, because the green, the merino was too soft, and the Corriedale was too sticky, and it wasn't a pleasant spinning experience to put the two together, and I didn't like the results. It was too splotchy, because I'd pull, I'd be pulling, and some of the merino would not go in with the Corriedale, so it wasn't the best spinning experience. But again, that's what this project was all about, to kind of experiment and see maybe try something different. And so I had tried that, and I was like, no, I didn't really like that. But what I did do is take the two strands and knit them together. So I spun them separately and then knit them together, and that worked really well. And it came out with this really just beautiful heathered. The green was pretty bright, and the gray kind of calmed that down. And so I did my socks. So I did two socks. I didn't have enough yarn, so I added some. I have two of them done, but I just added the black for the heels, toes, and then just a little accent at the top of this. And I like that. I actually forgotten that I had done this, because I haven't looked at these in a while. But this is just a slip stitch design, really super easy. I did them toe up. I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough of the green yarn when I had finished spinning it. It wasn't a big. I didn't have a lot of it, so I decided to then just stripe it with gray, because some of that gray yarn that I had left over from the Fay Cowl, and that worked really well, because I knew I still had some of that, and I still have some of that is left as well, because it was from a cone. But I think this worked out really well. It was really just a really fun experiment to do. And I did we did the two of them, and it was really fun to see what everybody else was doing. Everybody came up with completely different ideas. Some people just did one color for the whole sock. Carrie did a striped sock, similar to this one. She had a really great tutorial on how to see if you have different fibers, to kind of how to knit them up together, to take a look and see what they do as in a cute little knitted swatch. And so I actually did that, and that was really helpful as well. But so these are my hand spun socks, and it was really a great little project to do. She's still going on and doing that, so you can take a look at her progress, but people are still continuing on and just kind of doing a year worth of hand spun socks. But this was what I did, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. Then let's see, which one is this? Then my next pair of socks. Oh, I actually need the sock blockers. Let me pull those out. Perfect. Okay, so I'll just use one. And then I did another pair of socks, because my friend Sally Jane from England, originally from South Africa, but now they live in England. She also is a designer. She designs knitwear. She designs socks. She designs hats and cowls, all kinds of things, and I really like her aesthetic. It's really, really pretty. These are called the Festive Candy Cane Socks. I actually knit them in 3 Irish Girls yarn. Sally Jane they kind of designed them as a Christmas sock, and so her pattern, she has them kind of striped. But I just love this. This was my Christmas Eve cast on. That's what this was, and I went and bought this skein of yarn from my local yarn shop, Marblehead Knits, and I loved the texture and I loved the color, and I thought red is a beautiful Christmas color, so why not do it all in one color? And it has these beautiful. It looks like cables. They're not cables. This is one of those mock cable patterns, but it really just looks beautiful. I always just do those on the front, and I just make the back of the sock just plain. I always like to be able to see the contrast between the patterning and the sock. I do the short row heel. I always used to do the fish lips kiss heel, which is great, but now I've transitioned over to the I can't remember what it's called. I'll put it down here. I think it's the shadow short row heel, I'll give you a link to a video tutorial on it. It's really, the fish lips kiss heel is great, and this is kind of a riff off of that, but it seems to be a little bit easier. You're not worried so much about counting and missing where you are on it. Give it a try if you like to do the short row heels, and if you know how to do the fish lips kiss heel, this is just a step up from that. And you'll love it. You'll really love it. So again, these are the Festive Candy Cane Socks by Sally Jane Designs, and they're really, really pretty. Let's see. And then I have so many socks. So many socks. But I love it. I love it. So Emma Barnaby, again, of Tiny Desk Knitting, she has presented herself with a challenge this year. She is designing a sock a month. So she will come to the end of the year with 12 sock designs. She hasn't released any of them yet, but I've been on her test knitting list, which is great. It's just been so much fun. And so she just sends out an email with a Google Doc with it on here. They're not extensive yet. You basically have to know what you're doing with a sock. And she's basically just giving us the patterning on the sock, which is perfect for me, absolutely perfect for me. And then she also says just do them. You can do them cuff down. You can do them toe up. You can do whatever kind of heel you'd like to do. So that really it's really fun. She's just really looking to have the patterning be tested, and then when the patterns actually come out, they'll be much more extensive than they are in the test pattern. But I'm really happy to be on her list, and I've done them all so far. So this is the second one I did. This is the Kitty Bennett sock. So these are really pretty. They mirror each other, so they have this beautiful lace pattern down the outside of each sock. And again, I use that shadow, I think it's called the shadow short row heel on this, and it was really beautiful. This yarn, what did I use for this? It was really pretty. Oh yes, this was the Bluebird yarn, and it's in a Hercule Poirot colorway called Hickory Dickory Dock. It was really, really beautifully, just beautifully speckled yarn. But I'm really super happy with this. Again, these are the Kitty Bennett socks by Emma Barnaby. And then the third pair, this is the fourth pair, is this the third pair? The next one, the latest one that she sent out to her test knitters. This one is really nice because it's really just a textured sock. It's not a lace pattern. And again, I wanted to use up some yarn that I had, so it looks kind of funky with all the different colors on it, but I just had some leftover sock yarn, so I used it for the toes, heels, and the cuff. And these have not been washed or blocked, so they're a little crinkly, especially because of the patterning is a knit purl patterning, so that will flatten out a little bit more when I actually wash these for the first time. But these were really fun. This is a really easy pattern to memorize. So again, and these are the Katherine Moorland socks. So she will be coming out, I think, with the first 3 patterns. I think she was talking in our last podcast of bringing those out maybe sometime this month, maybe sometime in June, and then kind of move on from there. But yeah, I'm just having lots of fun with doing those socks for her. And she has a Ravelry group for us, and so we can see what other people are doing. But it's really nice to just be able to see, to have the freedom to do it. You're not so worried. You're not really worried about doing the exact pattern parameters, which is what you usually have to do if you're a test knitter. You need to just take, pretend you're a brand new knitter and just take all of your preconceptions away. And that's hard for some people to do, but just knit it line by line by line to make sure that there aren't any errors. And don't, you can't just skim over something and go, oh, well, I know what they mean here. You need to get back to the designer and say, you put this here, but can you put another line in that explains it a little bit more? Because if I had never done this before, I wouldn't. I understand what you're saying, but I know that someone who's a novice wouldn't understand. So that's what they're really looking for. Not so much on this. She's just looking for the pattern and just letting this group of test knitters have lots of fun and have what we want. So she will have then pictures of all different kinds of socks made out of the particular pattern that she is doing. So yes, I'm very happy. I'm looking forward to doing the next one. So now it's great because I don't really have to think about what sock pattern I'm going to do next. I'm just kind of waiting. Although I do have another one in my whips pile, but yeah. So that's really fun. I've been looking forward to doing that during the year for her. So I think that's the pile of my finished objects. So I think that's enough for now. So let's move on to some works in progress. Works in progress. I have a few of those as well to show you. The first one is my next pair of socks. These are not by Emma. These are just a pair of the simple Skype socks by Adrienne Koo. Again, this is a free pattern on Ravelry, and I really like this because I don't do a lot of just plain vanilla socks. I just get too bored, so I like to have some type of a little bit of a pattern, and this is just perfect because it's pearls and it's just a little bit of a texture. I wouldn't even call it a lace pattern, but I guess it's a little bit of a lace pattern, but it's really simple. It's what it is, simple Skype socks. I first knit these on the plane coming back or going to Egypt. I really wanted a simple thing to do on the plane, and I hadn't done this pattern before. I was like, I'm going to try this, and I loved it. So I've probably done 3 or 4 of this pattern again, and it's just really cool. This is what it is right here. You can see it's a really simple pattern just down the front, and again I've done the short row heel here, and I do them toe up. So I will end up there. So this is where I'm almost, a little bit more on the leg part, and then I'll do the cuffs. I love this yarn. This is really cool. It is actually a ball of. Let's see if I can see it here. So this is the ball. It's one of those crazy, not a Zauer ball, but it is Lang Jawwall Magic Superwash for socks. So this is great. I think these are super. When was it a few weeks ago? A few weeks ago now, when it was, I don't know, in this country, I don't know if it's everywhere, but it was International or National Yarn Knitting Store Day, and Marblehead Knits was having a little bit of a sale. I didn't even actually realize it until I went in, but she was having a little bit of a sale, and she had these bags put together for $20, and one of the bags had 4 balls of this beautiful yarn. So I was like, not this color and a couple of other colors, but this is enough to make 2 socks. So I was like, sold. This is absolutely fantastic, and so I have 3 more balls of this to go through. So I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, it's really super pretty. It's just one of those that just knits up. You don't have to think about it, but you've got these really interesting color changes. And I think I have a couple of this that are more of the burgundy tone, and I have another one that's kind of blues and greens. So they'll look very different. I'll be really interested to see how different they are when they turn out. But this is really fun to do. Then what do I have here? Oh, this is I really like this one. This is my next one is a cowl, and this is called the Owl Cowl, and it is by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. And this is really cute. I think this might be a free pattern of hers on Ravelry, to tell you the truth. I think it might be. She designed this. Was she making this? She made it, and then she was making it for her daughter. She's currently making one for her daughter, for Bryony right now. But it has these really cute little eyelets that she thought looked like little owl faces. You can see that. There we go. And so she called it the Owl Cowl. And it's really big. You know, it's designed. She does a lot of designs for mini skeins. So if you want to, if you have mini skeins, or you're using up an old advent calendar, or just leftover sock yarn, you can, she does a lot of projects that can be adjusted that way. I don't have any. I use my leftover yarns in my Bits and Bobs blanket. So, but I did have this beautiful. I really was attracted to this yellow color, this gorgeous, gorgeous yarn, and I bought it to pair with something. This is probably 2 years ago now, and that project kind of went by the wayside. And I've had this, and I look at it, I'm like, I didn't want to do something just by itself because it was super bright. But then I got this really gorgeous ball of, what is this? This is from Spindrift Yarn and Fibers out in Ouray, Colorado, and she does such gorgeous, gorgeous colors. And I had this beautiful colorway that I hadn't done anything with yet either. And you're looking and you're kind of throwing things together. And I thought these two really went well together and complemented. They look a little bright on the screen. They're not quite that bright in real life, but really pretty. And this is a super, super simple pattern. Most of it is just knitting and stockinette. There's that one row of with the little bit of yarn overs to create this little owlet. And then there's a row of purl over that, and then you have 13 rows of stockinette to go around, and then you change color. So it's really easy. This is great knitting for watching TV, which is what I've been doing, and picking it up. It's just something different, but with enough little interest. And you'd be like, oh, if I do 15 rows, I get to switch a color. So that's always exciting as well. So that's really great. And I'm actually using one of Kay's bags. This is an old bag. Kay doesn't make bags anymore, but this was a bag that this was several years ago now, but it's a fabric that has Roman streets in it, and they added this special little Roman coin as the puller for the zipper. It was really fun. So I just thought, well, if I'm going to knit Kay's pattern, I'll put it in Kay's bag, because I didn't have anything in that one right now. So that is really super fun. That's kind of always by my side. My big project that I'm working on right now is the vanilla sweater, and that is by Corinne Tomlinson of the Woolly Thistle. And she's had this pattern out for a while, and she had a promotion of, when was it? 2 months ago now, really when the war in Ukraine started. And she had a promotion where if you purchased this pattern, 100% of the proceeds would go to, I think, the Red Cross for Ukrainian relief. And so that was just, I was like, I'm gonna do that. I've always wanted to knit this plain vanilla sweater, and I just haven't had a chance, so didn't get around to it. And so I purchased the pattern, and it was actually a real bargain, because you get two. You get the plain vanilla pattern, and then you get, I forget what she calls the second one. It's a fluffy one, basically. It's holding mohair with it. And again, I'm not going to knit that. I explained my mohair situation the last time, but the plain one is great. And the vanilla sweater is really nice because it's knit in fingering weight yarn, and with the larger needles. So the gauge is a little bit larger, so it will tend to have a little bit more drape depending upon the yarn that you're using. And so this is it's really pretty. It's meant to just be a staple. It's something you can pull on, throw over a shirt, throw over a turtleneck, which is exactly what I'm looking for right now. And as I'll explain a little bit later, just plain stockinette knitting has really been good for me right at this point in time. I purchased some yarn, same thing on the local yarn shop day when I got those crazy yarns. I actually purchased some super sock. I can't even say what that is, but it's basically some really plain sock yarn, which is super great in this lovely gray color, which is perfect as well for me. I just like the plain gray for to go over things. But so this is the sweater right now. You start the sweater, you knit up, you start the sweater and you split for the arms, and then you go back and you do the little collar, and then you just keep knitting down until you want to stop. I think her pattern has a split hem. I'm probably not going to do that. I'll just keep knitting until I'm done. I've used up one ball of this. I have 3 balls of this, and I've used up one. I'm far from finishing this one, and I have a whole other ball too, so I can really knit as far as I want on this. And then you just cast on and do your sleeves, and you can do your sleeves whatever length you want, 3/4 length, full length, however you want to do that. I haven't really decided yet, but I think this is just going to be, it's just a really nice, easy, simple. It's got a raglan decreases here and increases, and so super simple, which is what this pattern is really designed to be. So again, it's the vanilla sweater by the Woolly, available at the Woolly Thistle, and I'm really happy. I could definitely see making more of these, and I know people have made one in every color, etc. So, but it's actually been really good, quiet knitting for me right now. So that's been really great. The last piece that I'll show you isn't knitting, as you know. At Christmas this year, I asked for a sampler pattern for a counted cross stitch, which I used to do tons of years and years ago. And then as we get older, my eyesight kind of deteriorated a little bit to where I needed to wear glasses, and it just got to be kind of annoying to do that. But I wanted to try it again. I thought I'd like to go back to it. Nothing I'm going to do fast, so I do this. I do this in the sunlight. So if it's a really sunny afternoon on the weekend, I'll pull this out and do it. I don't want to make it a strain for my eyes. So this is, and I found this pattern that is all about Egypt, and so I thought that was the perfect thing after last year. So it's going to be big. It's from Long Dog Samplers, and they're all over on Instagram. If you just search for Long Dog Samplers, the hashtag, you'll just see, and they're just amazing pieces. They're usually just done in one color. So I started at this little corner, and you can see there's much more. You can see the boat, you can see the figure, you can see the birds on it, and yeah, this whole thing will eventually be filled with patterning, so it won't be done anytime soon. But that's okay. That is a-okay. I'm really enjoying getting back into it, and just having the one color to deal with is perfect. I mean, I used to do multiple colors, which was fine, but this is great because I don't have to, again, you don't have to faff around and find the right color and the numbers and go back and forth with that. So this is really helpful. And I also really like using the Knit Companion app. I know I've talked about this before, but I use the Knit Companion app exclusively, really, on my iPad and on my phone to knit and to do. This piece is great because basically you just upload the pattern and to Knit Companion, and then you can put in sliders, so you can have rulers, you can see where you are, there's counters, there's all kinds of things that you can do with it. I just use it really basically, but I know that there's much more. You can make notes to yourself about it. It's really great, and I don't print out patterns anymore. I don't knit patterns really from books anymore. Even if you get a book, most of the time you can. They have a digital version that you can download. So I really find that to be great. But it was perfect for something like this because when I was doing this when I was younger, I would have a book in front of me with the pattern, and I'd have the tape that I had to move each time I wanted to do the next row. And I don't have to do that anymore. I just pull out my iPad and it's right there, and you can zoom in or bring it back as far as as big or as small as you want it to be. And I found it to be very helpful. So it's a great thing. It's not expensive. I don't even remember what it costs, but it's nothing expensive. And I've really used it for years and years, and so I highly recommend it. So Knit Companion, and I think you can definitely get it on the iPad, and I have it on my Android phone, so you can get it on either on either one, which is really good. So that is that. I do have some spinning that to show you today. I'm really happy. I have to get back to spinning more. I just enjoy it, and I forget that I'm going to do it because I get caught up in doing the knitting projects that I have. But let me show you what I have completed. I have, this is just going to fall over on me over here. This is the beautiful orange variegated merino looks really bright. Hopefully it's not quite that bright again. Here I have 2 skeins of it. I probably have about 400 yards altogether of this beautiful, beautiful color. This is from Katherine. Little Bean Loves Yarn. She lives here in Marblehead, and she dyes yarn and fiber. So I get a lot of most of my fiber actually from her. I really love these colors. This I'm going to, this kind of is a heavy worsted to bulk, probably not bulky, but heavy worsted, definitely. And I think what I'm going to do is make this into a bulky hat. Kay from the Bakery Bears, again, I'm a patron of theirs, and so she has what they call a platinum pattern a collection for their gold and platinum patrons. So we get 4 or 5 patterns a year from Kay, and one of the ones that she's done recently is this really cute hat. I think it's called the Cape Cod hat, and which is perfect for me here in Massachusetts. And I think she took the color from the gray yarn that she had, which was a Cape Cod. It's a Cape Cod color. I forget who made it, but it's this really lovely bulky cabled hat with a pom-pom on the top of it. So I think that's what this is going to be designed for. I think that'll be really fun. I'll have way more than I need, so maybe I'll do a cowl along with it. But this is really pretty, and I'm really happy that I finally got this all off the washed and off of the wheel. So I'm happy with that. The second one that I am working on is, again, this is from Katherine, and it is just gorgeous. This is a merino, and you can see the colors. It's got purples and pinks and blues, and oh, it's just gorgeous. And I think I have 8 ounces of this. I have 2 4-ounce braids of it. So and this is what it looks like spun up. Super beautiful. I'm really happy with this, and I think I'm not sure which I'm going to do. I might skein it together, or I might ply it with a lace weight. That will really get me quite a lot of yardage out of it. So I really haven't decided yet. I'm just gonna do up each bobbin and see what comes out. But I'm really happy with this. This is just really soft and super soft and lovely to work with. So that makes me super happy. And then the third thing, it's not spinning related, but I mean, I guess it could be in a tiny way. But I'm thinking, I have an old sweater that I knit several years ago, just using just a generic worsted weight yarn. I think it was probably from Knit Pick, so it's probably Willow of the Andes. But I was thinking that I might like to, when I finish the vanilla sweater, to do another sweater, and maybe I'm thinking of doing a textured sweater. I know Andrea Mowry just came out with the Gib pattern, which I am really drawn to, because it's like an all over patterning, and I'm thinking about doing that. The yarn is very dark. It's really a dark gray, which is it's why I looked at that, because that's the yarn color that she knit her sample out of, which looks really nice. But what I'm in the process of doing is I'm going to pull out the yarn from that old sweater. I was actually just going to throw it away, and I stopped myself and I said, wait a minute, there's a ton of yarn here. Just because you don't wear this sweater anymore, that doesn't mean the yarn is no good. And so I've been pulling that out, and I've been winding it up. I need to put it on the winder so that I can put it in skeins and wash it, and just take the crimp out of it, and then I'll be able to get started on that. I think I'll wait till I finish the vanilla sweater, but I'll kind of walk you through that process as I do it the next time, because I'm sure by the next time I podcast I will have started that process. But it's a great thing to do. I don't, I usually wear most of the sweaters that I have knit, and if I wear them a lot, I do a lot of fingering weight sweaters, and those will sometimes those will wear out. If they get too old, they're going to wear in the elbows. Sometimes they just get too fuzzed out, and just look worn. And so those I probably wouldn't try to reclaim. But it's not new, but I just didn't wear it once because I wasn't really happy with the fit. I did finish it, but I wasn't really happy with the fit. So I've probably worn it like twice, and then I just put it away in a drawer. And so, it's certainly an option. Instead of, if you do something and you're not happy with it, you can pull out and reuse that yarn, and it should come right back to life. So the next time I'll show you what it looks like as I'm pulling it out, and then I'll wash it, and it will probably look brand new. So that will be really great. I'll do up the hanks on the nitty knotty and get those washed and ready to go. And I know I'm not too concerned because I know that I have enough for a sweaters, and this was a big sweater, so I have enough for a sweater's worth. So I know that I should be able to make another pattern sweater out of it when I get that finished. So that's kind of the next thing that's on my planning list, as well as making sure I get into the spinning on a regular basis as well. So, all right. So now let me take a look and let's see if I can do do a little piece on our house. Kind of as a little special treat today, as I said at the beginning, this is the 100th episode of me doing the podcast, which is crazy. But I've had some interest from some viewers who wanted to know more about the house that we live in here. You can see I'm up in our bedroom. We have the old fireplace right here. We have a fireplace in every single room in this house. Now, none of them are working. The one in the living room, we did try the first couple of years we lived here, but it just was too smoky, and I mean we could have someone come and clean out all of the fireplaces, but I'm not a big it doesn't make a big difference to me. I just like having them here. So as I had said at the beginning, our house is built in 1751. What did I say? At the beginning, I'll be putting up some information on the screen here too. And it was and then it was originally built as a warehouse, and then it was transformed into a residence. And in the 1950s, there was a couple who bought this property, and they decided to, and they really, I think at that point it really wasn't very livable, and so they came in and renovated it as much as you can renovate a really, really super old building. But when we moved in here originally and we purchased the home, we were given a copy of an article that is from early American life, and it has to be from 1980, 1982, from quite a while ago. And in fact, other people have given us this article as well, so people around the neighborhood knew about this article. But this is an article all about when Peggy and her husband moved here and all the things that they did to the house. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually read the article because I think you'll be really interested in it, and then I'm going to take the pictures and I'm going to put the pictures up here from the article. We have a color copy of it, so you'll be able to see. And as I said, I'm not going to take pictures of our living space now, just because it's it's my family's living space. So, but many of the pieces are still the same. We actually still have some of the same rugs that are in the photos from when they originally did them. There's a couple of little tables that are still here, and the color scheme we've basically left exactly as they had it. We've had it repainted, but it's been basically the same. The outside of the house is the same color. Everyone knows it as the Little Red House down by the Boston Yacht Club. Originally they had white shutters on it. We've switched those out to black shutters. But other than that, it pretty much is exactly the same. It's a tiny little house, but it's a really fun house to have. So let me go ahead. I'm going to start. I'll put up some pictures, and then I'm going to read this article so you get a sense of it. So it's called A House in Marblehead, and let's see, where does it begin here? So this house is exactly like Marblehead. It's in many ways. It's small, only 30.5 feet wide by 18.5 feet deep, and steep. From its slightly listing windows and doorways, you get glimpses of the Atlantic or the random stack of rooftops up on the hill to the apex of the town hall tower. It's narrow, crooked, and full of color, permeated with the fragrance of scented geraniums, salt air, and the noise of gulls. And it has a past. 100 years before the Revolution, this piece of land, extending right down to the water, was used for curing fish. It was known as Neck's Eastern Flake Yard, flakes being the wooden racks on which split salted fish were dried for export. By 1750, this cove was the center of the town's economy, and the fish yard needed buildings: shops for a cooper, boat builder, blacksmith, a wharf, and a warehouse. This is that warehouse. It wasn't converted into a dwelling until 1800, after which it was lived in by a boat builder, a sailmaker, two cordwainers, they made shoes, the word comes from cordovan or Spanish leather, and a sea captain's widow, who shared her home in the 1850s with tenants, a teamster and his family, a seaman and his, a total of 12 people in this tiny house. I cannot even imagine. It's tiny enough with just the three of us, but 12. Whoa. Harry and Peggy Bancroft bought it in 1956, all the tenancies having dwindled over the years to just one elderly lady, then to none. The cooper's shop of 1800 that was built flush against the warehouse was long gone, but there still were no windows on that end of the house, and the entire back of the house was windowless, too, except for a small aperture in the kitchen. The side door had been painted shut. All the fireplaces were closed off. There was an oil stove in the dark living room, and the alcove beside it was used for storing coal. The kitchen had a cook stove and a cold water tap. There was no bathroom in the house, just a toilet under the stairs. The tiny dark rooms were even more dismal because of false ceilings, 18 layers of linoleum on the floors, enough to entirely conceal a triangular raised hearth in the dining room corner fireplace, and walls swaddled in wallpaper. All of this served as a protective coating for what was underneath. Hadn't been removed, just covered over. Not just. It took Peggy 2.5 years just to get the paint off, and I believe that. Under all that linoleum were wide old pine planks, many of which they turned over to use the unworn side. Under the paint and wallpaper were the imprints of where molding had been, or shelves, bold stenciled designs for Peggy to revive, a fine old brass box lock on the kitchen door, a bake oven in the fireplace, and the heavy timber of posts and beams from the warehouse era. Some spikes and hooks remained sunk into the great beam under the gambrel roof on the 3rd floor. Yep, and they are still there in Sophia's room. Old boards were found inside walls, replaced with 2x4s. They were recycled as cabinet wood for the galley-sized kitchen. The house revealed much of its past during the 3 years the Bancrofts worked in it. Shoes and leather turned up from the cordwainer days. Coal is heaved up by the frost every year from the period when there was a coal wharf nearby. Among other bones in the walls was the jawbone of a pig, indicating that even in Marblehead, fish wasn't the only protein stored and sold from the place. Lethal homemade brass knuckles were disinterred, a reminder of the days when the waterfront lacked its present refinement. They lived in the house while they devoted every evening after work and every weekend to making it livable. A real bathroom went in on the 2nd floor in the space where the staircase wound up to the 3rd. Using the larger of the 2 second-floor rooms as a workroom, they painted both sides of 10 clapboards a night, because that was all the space there was to line them up. Windows went in for the blind south end of the house, 3 for the living room spanned most of that wall, fill the rooms with light, and a copper-lined window seat fills it with plants. The 2nd-floor bedroom got 2, one of which has a little greenhouse bay projecting geraniums and herbs out towards the blue water. That's gone now, so it's just a regular window here. The long, narrow bed sitting room on the 3rd floor, which is Sophia's space, having space for only one window under the gambrel, got a skylight as well. This eyrie has a diminutive but working fireplace, the mason's gift to the house, an incredibly small but complete bath with its own skylight, which is what we redid last year, and cupboards along the length of the stenciled walls under the eaves. The maple 4-poster has a knee-hole desk at the footboard instead of the more usual blanket chest. It's a good idea given the steeply angled walls that don't allow much headroom. Reached by a nearly perpendicular open staircase from the 2nd-floor landing. True. This is a remarkable room, rather like an early American treehouse or the 18th century loft that it really is, with amenities. Besides having X-ray vision about this house, Peggy could give lessons on the maximum use of minimum space. The compact kitchen is divided from the dining room by a chest-high partition. This is a little bit different with the people who owned the house before us renovated the kitchen a little bit, so it's a little bit different. But this long chest-high partition is now moved over underneath a window, so you could sit there if there was room to have your breakfast and looking out the window there. But there's a radiator under there, so that doesn't really work, but we use it just for storage. So that's still really, we still have that big plank of wood there. Its counters are red clay quarry tile, and since there's no room for a whole stove, a wall oven nearly fits into the corner angle made by the turn of the staircase on the other side. Like I said, this is all different now. Ingenious individual electric burner units are hinged to the back of the counter to fold up out of the way when they're not in use. Nothing is missing in this house. Everything is cleverly, sometimes unconventionally fitted in. A freezer that would fill the kitchen was hoisted through the third floor window and stowed in the sewing room back of the top floor bathroom. No, that's gone. Nothing is quite straight. That's true. One of the first things Harry attempted was to level off a nice old wall cupboard in the dining room, but there was no way to do it related to anything else. While we were there, Peggy hung a curtain she had made for a living room window. It went up on an obvious slant to accommodate the window, and yes, it's still very slanted in the living room. But it's a tidy, straightforward house with an impeccably New England look in its decoration. Simple furnishings, good wood, brass, and the affinity this look has for oriental rugs, rose medallion, and Imari porcelain. The view has changed outside as well as inside since the early days, from commerce to pleasure. A brown shingled yacht club stands between the house and the water on the south side instead of the Cooper shop. There's a park next door, a hilly one, no cars allowed, and from it you see nothing but harbor. A red tomcat, formerly of the park, has adopted the house, however. It's very beautiful, and for him, perhaps, there's just a whiff of historic fish. So I hope you enjoyed that. That was really fun to read from, fun to look at the pictures. As I said, the paint colors are exactly the same, and we still have them. We had that refreshed last year, but they're still exactly the same. Some things have changed. The little room across from our bedroom upstairs we use as an office now. So Mark has just the table with his many computer monitors there, and Sophia's room is basically the whole floor upstairs because it extends over the whole of the house. She has a new bathroom, and she also has a little room in the back, which I think they used to use kind of as a little workroom, but now she uses that as her office as well. And we do look out in the back. We look out at the parking lot now and at the yacht club. But as we said, we have the proper park right next door to us, which is fantastic because there's limited parking down here, so not a lot of people come down. But in the summertime, we have the big 4th of July party here for the towns, which is really such a lot of fun. But yeah, I guess I'll just kind of go into the chatter from here. To start with, I apologize for not kind of being here, and I haven't been that much on social media. I have been a little bit. And really the reason is work. It is absolutely insane what we're going through right now. I think I had mentioned this before, and I thought things were going to get a little bit better, but we literally have 9 positions in our office, including the director. And right now, we only have the director and myself in our office. So every single other position, the people have left to move on to other things. And we're having a really difficult time. Across the country people are, and it's certainly in higher ed, they're having a difficult time filling positions with people who have experience. And so just 2 weeks ago, we lost another associate director, and we lost another assistant director. So, and these people were doing such good work. It's just big shoes to fill. Now we have one temp. We had another temp that didn't work out. We're probably going to get another temp. We have a consultant who's been with us for about 6 months already, and we just hired 2 other consultants who are doing work remotely for us. But here, and we just hired a new counselor, but still he's great. He's going to be great, but he still needs training. So yeah, and we are right now coming into our busiest period. So it has been mentally exhausting for me. Now I love my job. I absolutely love my job. I'm not looking to move. I'm too old and settled, but I'm not looking to move. But that doesn't mean that it's not been very, very difficult for us. Every day is juggling something new. I'm having to do the job of 3 different people, and as Emery and I keep saying to each other, we can't get blood from a stone. So we really need to I just need to do what I can do, and make sure that the timing of things is going right. So that's really the big issue, because we have all of these, it's very cyclical. We have to get award letters out, and then the bills go out, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of things that have to happen in order for, outside of us, in order for us to get our job done. And then my job also impacts other jobs at the institution. So I've been doing a lot of weekend work, not so much night work because I just get too tired to do it at night, but a lot of weekend work, just taking on a lot of responsibility. I'm having to train people, I'm having to supervise folks that are coming in. So it's a lot, and that's kind of why I just haven't had the energy or the time to kind of sit down and do a podcast. So I just wanted to give that explanation to folks to know. I can't guarantee when my next one is going to be, because I think the last time I was saying there was a light at the end of the tunnel. There doesn't feel like one right now. I'm hoping that there will be, but the time that I have off, I really want to enjoy this summer. But that's not to say that I won't come back and throw in a podcast here or there, because I love doing this as well. But it has been really, really crazy. It's been crazy with COVID. Again, none of us have caught COVID yet. I just can't even. It boggles my mind that we haven't. It's just so prevalent here. Mark and I and Sophia have gotten all the vaccine shots and the boosters that we can, and obviously we're wearing our N95 masks, but we are traveling. I'm going into Boston 2 days a week. Sophia's going in 2 to 3, depending upon her. We still have to go to the grocery store. You're still out there, but I'm trying to wear a mask wherever I go, and I'm not so concerned for ourselves, but really for Mark's parents who are in their 90s, because I'm there every day. And I had a scare a couple of weeks ago because one of the people that we work with really closely, she works mostly remotely, but we had a going away party for the 2 people that were leaving, and she came into the office, and we were with her, and the next day she tested positive for COVID. She had been somewhere over the weekend. So we were then on a 10-day COVID wait. We couldn't go back onto campus. So, but luckily we did not. None of us came down with it. So I feel very lucky, but I also feel like, I suppose everybody in the world does. It's a ticking time bomb. It's probably going to happen at some point. But I'm just doing. We're doing our best to kind of not get it. But so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. That's just another added issue on top of everything else. I do have some time off this summer. I have a week in July, and then I have another week in September. Mark and I we were thinking about going up to Maine, but we actually were watching Somebody Feed Phil on Netflix, which is really funny. He's such a funny guy. But he traveled to Portland, Maine, and we've never spent a lot of time in Maine, and Portland looks like a great place to go. It's a great stopping off point. You can just, obviously you can go to the shore, see the lighthouses, but I guess Portland is just full of great places to eat. So that's really what we like to do if we go on a vacation. So what we were going to go somewhere else in Maine that his parents were trying to tell us to go to, but we've made that mistake before. They have different interests than we do. And just going to Portland, then you're in a city, which is not a big city, but you're in a city. So you've got things that you need. You've got things right around you. And then you can still go out on day trips. It's within driving distance, so that's even perfect. So I think probably in next spring, we won't go now. It's just going to be too expensive now to get reservations and things this year. But what we were thinking about is going up in the spring, so I can take I have plenty of vacation time. I just haven't used it, so I'll take a week in the spring, sometime in between doing awards, and I think we'll take a couple of days and go up there and spend a couple of nights up in Portland and try that. And so that'll be nice. It'll be something to look forward to, because we don't have any, just staycation this year here, which is perfect. I mean, I just want to spend the days just going here to Crocker Park and sitting in the sun and reading and doing my knitting. We have been rewatching. We haven't seen all of the episodes, but we're almost done with it now. But we've been watching Peaky Blinders. That is a great show. I mean, I kind of was watching it the first time through. Mark would watch it when he was erging, and then we kind of fell away from it. But this time we're watching it through because the last season 6, I think, starts next week. So we wanted to kind of go back because he can't remember anything about the shows when he watches them in one ear and out the other. And so we've gone back. We started right at the beginning. We watched them through, and they're so intense, and the music is great, and yeah, it's so good. So we've been watching a lot of those. We thought we would go back and watch American Idol this year. We haven't watched a lot of those competition shows in the last few years. We used to watch American Idol pretty regularly for a few years, and then it fell away. We watched America's Got Talent for a little while and kind of fell away with that. But we just happened to be talking about it. I'm like, American Idol starting up, so that was kind of good because every week we had something to plan to watch. But that's over now. But we're still working on Peaky Blinders here, so that'll get us through some part of the summer, certainly June anyway, and then move on to something else. I also have an issue with my left shoulder, so I fell. It's got to be like a year and a half ago now. It was a year ago. It was two Thanksgivings ago that I had slipped on a wood ramp, and I had fallen on my shoulder, and it didn't, it wasn't broken or anything, but I knew I had done something to it, and I just kind of procrastinated and never went to get anything done, and it got better, it got fine. I could knit, I could move. I wasn't impeded by it in any way, and it just kind of it faded away. But then I don't know, probably it's probably a month and a half ago now. I was erging, and I was watching something. It was very intense. It wasn't Peaky Blinders, it was something else, but I was watching something very intense, and I realized that I was rowing hard, so I was pulling a lot, and I got off of the rowing machine, and I went in to take a shower, and I realized sometimes you just know you've done something, and I was like, oh no, I've re-injured something in here. I could feel it right away, and it didn't get better. It's real, like I can't, like, if I try to pull something back, and like every now and again, it's definitely a rotation injury. So it's probably the rotator cuff. I had a regular doctor's appointment, and she was like, yeah, that's probably a rotator cuff injury. So you need to go see a shoulder specialist. I was supposed to go, and I had to cancel it because I was under that 10-day COVID watch. I couldn't go to the doctor. So I've got it rescheduled for this coming Friday. So I anticipate, they're going to do x-rays and things. I anticipate I'll have to go to some physical therapy to see if we can get that fixed. My father has had a rotator cuff injury. My brother has had rotator cuff injuries. I know that weakness can run in families, so it's probably just a matter of time until something would happen. But it's just, sitting here is fine. I can drive, I can do things, but every now and again I'll move it the wrong way, and it'll just be the shooting pain, or if I'm sitting reading, and it just kind of gets achy and in here into the collarbone. So yeah, there's definitely something that I'm going to need to do I'm sure I'm going to be like not able to do some things, and I'm going to have to do some physical therapy for it as well. So it's just one of those, just another annoyance on top of all the annoyances that have been happening this year. But it's summertime. It will be summertime soon. It's lovely. The weather's been just really lovely. Sophia's job is going great. Mark's guitar lessons are going fantastically. So he's having a lot of fun with that. And so I'm just good, which is, and then, again, this is another reason I said before, that's why knitting on that vanilla sweater is perfect, because I just need to knit, and I don't have the brain space to try to do something Fair Isle right at this point in time. I will get back to that. I'd really like to next winter to do a Fair Isle vest again. I'd like to do that. So that's kind of sitting in the back of my mind for when things calm down a little bit more. So, But anyways, that's kind of what's been happening here. So I apologize for the apologize for the delay. Hopefully, I'll be back in a shorter period of time. But yeah, thanks for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed the little bit of a house tour, so to speak. And remember, it's just knitting.